I'm sorry, but the higher road approach does not work for me. I don't give a shit about the higher road. I want my life to feel different. And so I don't think it's helpful if I'm resentful and angry and feel that I've been abused or unjust and I'm going to take the higher road. No, my body isn't ready to do that.
Welcome to Understand Your Man. I'm Nathan Joblin, co-founder of Modern Wisdom Press and author of the book Trapped, The Responsible Man's Guide to Personal Freedom and Happiness.
And I'm Natasha, a psychotherapist with 20 years in the field, working firsthand with men who are trying to show up for their partners and families. I bring the perspective that we as women need to heal and ground ourselves in our own energy so that we make space that invites our partners forward to connect to us in the intimacy and safety that we crave, that we deserve.
This podcast aims to build a bridge between men and their female partners by offering an understanding of why your man may not be showing up in the way you know he's capable of. All right. Hey, Natasha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I just reading our intro again. It's all about healing and grounding ourselves in our own energy so that we make space that invite our partners forward.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I think that last sentence that you read around safety as well is going to be kind of the jumping off point for today. The safety we seek framed from the partner of the man. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to hear more about that and see where we might take that conversation.
A lot comes up when we talk about the idea of safety. And I know we've talked about that here as well. Today, I want to talk about safety in the sense that as women, that we will be seen and understood and respected. That piece is important. The reason why we're working so hard in our relationships is because we want a safe place to land. All of us have been impacted by relationship trauma. I haven't met anyone who's like mother was perfect or father was perfect or siblings were perfect or grandparents were perfect or teachers were perfect. All of our pain and heartbreak has happened in relationships. And so it's appropriate that the only way we're going to really mend all of that heartbreak is in relationship. Unfortunately, we just bring our broken hearts and we give it to our next person. And that's really what's happening when we stand in front of our partner and say, I want you to see me, hear me, love me, respect me, be gentle with me, be kind to me, lead me, follow me. But we don't say any of that with our words. And we definitely don't say it with our energy. What we bring are all of the manipulation and control or fawning or people pleasing or all of the strategies that we've learned in the past that will keep us safe in the future, except they just end up causing the same problems. Does that make sense?
It does. I just was chuckled because when you were speaking as the partner saying, I want, this is what I want, I want you to see me. I was like, that sounds great. And then you said, and that's what's not said.
And that's what's not said. And Can I tell you that the small, simple changes in our presentation and in our energy when we approach our partner will make huge differences, which is why we spent last episode and the episodes before talking about dropping our energy, being gentler, slowing down so that everyone's nervous system doesn't have to be on attack. And one person needs to start. So today it really is talking to women about how do we regulate ourselves before we actually ask to have our needs met.
Great. Is the discussion we're about to have ultimately gender specific?
No, not at all. Of course, it's human specific. So it's about actually getting the right self-regulation and co-regulation that our nervous system requires. And so that is, for lack of a better word, therapy. But what type of therapy are we doing? And that piece is really important. Yeah. So if we can just go historically, generally speaking, the therapy that most of us have had available to us is sort of the model of mental health where you talk to a therapist. You use language, you talk about your experiences, you talk about your memories, you talk about what your goals and what you would like in sort of the future, and you strategize and you practice some of these skills. That all sounds great as long as you're in this safe environment where your therapist is completely validating of everything that you say. And so clients will always say to me all the time, when I speak to you, you get me. If I could just have you come with me to work or have you talk to my husband and my children. And I go, well, as your therapist, I don't activate you the way that other people do. So you're calmer, you're safer, so you can communicate yourself in a way that I can hear you. If you felt the level of safety you feel with me, then everyone else in your life, you'd have no problem. Does that make sense when I say it that way?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know from personal experience that, I aspire to ease in my relationship, and I know it's available. We love each other, and we want the best for each other. Those are great foundations. And if I'm agitated at all, I may be able to lessen my reactivity, but the energy it takes is wild. It's wild. And that is not the ease I'm seeking. In general, my goal is to be in a place of non-reactivity. I know I'm not unique in this, but non-reactivity, so that I can handle the stuff that's there anyway. It's not going away, or, it's the same stuff. And I'm just aware of the personal energy levels that it requires. And as an introvert, I then need to find ways to recharge. And so it's just like this domino thing around the energy depletion.
And it's insane. I have to say, the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves as human beings to manage our energy and regulate our energy. I don't know about you, but I have a job and children. I can't spend all day trying to control my energy. And so we really need to talk about what therapies, what modalities are actually available to us, so that all of our energy isn't going to managing ourselves so we don't behave like wild animals. And so today I want to talk a little bit about some therapies some of you might have heard of, which are all sort of more on the neuroscience model end rather than your traditional cognitive behavioral therapy.
May I really quickly ask you a question around the language as well? So I think about this, my personal shorthand is my goal is to remain in self. And that just means that I'm non-reactive, like at its heart, I'm non-reactive. Does that cover it? Like, can it be like just that's my goal?
Good luck. Right? Like, my goal is to be non-reactive, of course, but I don't think we're going to reach it in this lifetime. I just don't. I think we're too human. So I think the goal is to understand our reactivity and then do the individual work that's required to actually heal the parts of us that are reactive, so that I don't have to spend my whole life managing my reactivity. And I think that we set ourselves up for failure. I do, thinking that I'm going to be calm and loving and non-reactive all the time. I just don't know anybody like that. Well, there are a few people, but they live in caves and someone else does their laundry.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I framed it as a goal. That's a little disappointing to hear you put it that way.
I think that it's the truth. And I think we need to start telling each other the truth. I don't go for being non-reactive in my relationships. I don't put that level of pressure on myself. Instead, I'm realistic with myself. Every time I have a rupture, or if I behave in a way that is reactive and I end up hurting one of my children or my partner or friendships or colleagues or clients, I pay attention. What was it that got me? What was it that I had to be defensive or rude or disrespectful or controlling? And then I take that experience and I go and do my work. And that is not cognitive behavioral therapy. That is understanding the energy in my body that got activated. And once it's activated, it's up for at least 28 minutes. For at least 28 minutes, that energy has gripped my entire nervous system. And it can take up to 3 days if it really hit a deep wound. And now is not the time in that reactivity to try and problem solve anything, but it is the best opportunity to see an unconscious process that was made conscious, and then take that to my therapist's office or to my meditation pillow and work that energy out of my body. And so there's a few therapies that actually do that. So one of them is called internal.
Hold on 1 second.
I'm excited. Go ahead.
No, I benefit from putting things into my own words, right? So I like this. So I'm going to back off my goal. My goal is to be in self, but on a practical level, my goal is to, when I'm reactive, not take it out on those around me.
Yeah.
It's to understand, oh shoot, I'm being reactive and I have the resources to handle that. Great. I like that. I like that.
I just think it's more realistic. And then the co-regulation piece is important. Yes, I have to do this on my own, but I can help, or I can ask for help for those around me. So I'll say to my partner, if I get hit by something, and for me, it's eye rolling.
Okay. I like
If
this a
you,
lot. So my goal is to, in those moments, not lash out.
yes. And I can't be aware if I'm beginning to, because I'm caught. I am gone. And this is
Yeah.
what I mean by like, good luck trying to control the uncontrollable. This is where you need to know thyself. And so if my voice starts going up, or my breathing becomes labored, or I feel myself posturing, look out. And I've done a lot of work. So my children know and my partner know to go, mommy or sweetheart. And I've done enough work that I know that I'm no longer talking to people I love. I am now talking to people that I believe abused me or attacked me. I'm no longer living in time and space. So I need to have a level of self-mastery when I'm cued by the people around me. Hey, where are we going? That I can disconnect from what's happening and go and manage myself so I can come back to self. Self is the adult person who feels safe in the room and can calmly problem solve and articulate herself. And it's unrealistic that we're going to live there all the time. We're just not. But how do the people in your life and how do you help yourself get back there? So, yeah, I hate to disappoint people, but they're always looking for this level of perfection. And I go, oh, good luck.
Well, the thing is about that, I mean, it's disappointing because there wasn't a goal that's really lofty, but there's a lot of freedom and release and getting down and getting practical and achieving some things and then seeing where it goes.
Yes. And being realistic about being humans. I have a colleague who's a therapist and like works with couples. And she was talking to me about, how people need to roll up their sleeves and, we're going to figure this out and not one of us is leaving the room and we're going to work. And I go, oh God, how terrible. I would hate that. I would hate to be locked in a room with my partner while their childhood trauma and my childhood trauma and all of our safety strategies and all of our manipulation just bash each other over the head until we're exhausted and remember we love each other. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about incredible self-responsibility to realize something is not right in my body and in my energy centers. I'm still operating from a place where I've been really hurt. Thank you, partner and family and other people in my life, for showing me where I need to go and take care of myself. And now I need to go find the right neuroscience modalities that actually deal with the parts of the brain and nervous system that are responsible for my activation. And talk therapy doesn't do that because talk therapy uses the neocortex and the part of the brain that isn't actually connected to our reactivity.
Yeah. Talk therapy for me really, in a couple of instances, was just trying to manage the day to day, but not getting any deeper than that. So it was really the same stuff comes up and I try to feel better, but I haven't solved anything. I want to be careful now and not use words like solved, like I didn't feel better.
Yeah, and it can be helpful. Like it's helpful for me to understand why I was a wild animal. It's helpful to understand your attachment style. It's helpful
Reduce
to understand.
isolation, reduce a sense of isolation because you're with someone who's focused their attention on you. It's very good.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then what? And then what? Like I said, I can't go with you as your therapist to regulate your nervous system for you. I have my own family and my own nervous system that I'm regulating. But can I help guide you into your own nervous system using internal family systems, IFS therapy, deep brain reorienting, DBR therapy, eye movement desensitization, reprocessing, EMDR therapy? Can you access another level of mind and a higher level of consciousness and open your heart through grounded meditation? Yes. And so we need to start moving into a new paradigm of psychotherapy where we're actually rewiring the brain and the nervous system. So, as you said, our adult self can be in the room. And when we're calm and regulated, everyone around us is calm and regulated. And that's when our lives change.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like that because we talk about like, why am I the one who has to take the first step? And sometimes, we think we take the first step and when we hope the other person notices, like that's half the point, right? However, what you just said is that naturally everyone comes down, right? And so there's an immediate benefit from that, not just taking the higher road. And that, and that when we're in that competitive need space, that might help crack the door open a little bit to understand, like, I'm doing this for everybody, not just hoping that the person across from me understands. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, but the higher road approach does not work for me. I don't give a shit about the higher road. I want my life to feel different. And so I don't think it's helpful if I'm resentful and angry and feel that I've been abused or unjust and I'm going to take the higher road. No, my body isn't ready to do that. So the higher road is not just capitulating to the other person before, like in front of me. The higher road is let me go and figure out what happened where this person had so much control over my nervous system. And then how do I regulate and free myself so that I can make a better choice for myself that will benefit everyone around me? That's the win-win. Because quite frankly, women have been taking the higher road forever, and men as well. But in our relationships, the higher road often leads to self-sacrifice. And that's not what this is about.
Yeah. And so before I interrupted you 3 times or so, you were going to talk about some specific strategies, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the first one is, holy shit, I'm not in the room anymore. And I've fallen into my default safety strategy. And safety strategies we're all familiar with them: fight, flight, freeze, fragment, or flow. And fawn is a big one, especially for women. So when you get activated by someone, so example for me, if my partner or someone rolls their eyes, I'm off to the races. All of the work that I've done and an eye roll still gets me going. And my default network is set to fight, which means I get sarcastic, aggressive, and rude automatically. That's the way that I'm wired. I have other clients who they're more into a freeze, which means when someone rolls their eyes, for example, they lose their train of thought. They don't know what to say anymore. They go completely blank and they just freeze. These are automatic wirings in your nervous system. This is not a choice. This is what your nervous system is set to. The flight anxious people, if someone rolls their eyes, their mind, did I say something wrong? Did I lose them? Am I boring them? Do I sound stupid? What do I say now? Right?
Do I matter?
Do I matter? Like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Flow is someone that just needs to like leave the situation. They're daydreaming, they're scrolling on their phone, they need a drink, they're going for a cigarette, they're doing something just to flow and move away from whatever activated them. Fawn is a big one, especially for women. Fawn is, how do I please you? How do I make you feel better? So if you rolled your eyes and I feel as though, right, you're no longer pleased with me, how do I joke? How do I get cute? How do I give you something? How do I offer you something? So these safety strategies are really set when we're young. It's what helps us get through our families. And so those are the automatic things that get triggered when we're in relationship. And like I said, it takes at least 28 minutes for you to return to who you are. So in the beginning, when you recognize that your partner has triggered you, which means has activated that trigger that gives you your automatic safety strategy, please thank them. Not out loud, but in your heart. Thank you for showing me how people outside of me control what my nervous system does. Now I'm going to go find myself an IFS, DBR, or EMDR therapist. And I'm going to move that safety strategy out of my past. And I'm going to step into my present to create my future. From presence and calm, I'm no longer going to give myself away or let this energy control me. that is the gift of other people in our life. So that's what I would suggest for us as women. Start paying attention to what are the automatic patterns that we've created in our relationships with our partners that control us from actually being the women that we truly are and how we want to show up in our lives. Put that in your own words, Nathan.
Well, I mean, when you say that, and for me, the complexity of our human experience, like all of that you described, is just batshit crazy. It's just like, how did this happen? And so I take that as a doorway to spirituality personally. Like this is no accident. We are here doing things that nature really didn't require of us. and that's my doorway, is this crazy experience. There's something happening beyond my understanding, and I'm in it. But it doesn't quite feel like nature. It feels something else.
And what I would say is it's because we've fallen away from our nature. And so when you say that this is a gateway to spirituality, another word for that is it's a gateway to freedom. The gateway to freedom is no longer having other people in your life control your natural state of being, which is calm and loving and compassionate and curious. So now when someone rolls their eyes at me and I'm in myself, I go, wonder what I said that got them going. It's no longer that I did something wrong or something that I need to defend or something that I need to make right. I get curious. Wonder what it is that I said that activated them. And then I wait for them to tell me. So I guess I would say for today is to start using the experience of conflict or agitation or being triggered in your personal relationships as the gateway to your own freedom. What is it that gets activated in me? And if people have questions about IFS, DBR, or EMDR, hopefully they email us and maybe we can put out a list of how to find regulated professionals in their areas.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll go into each of those modalities in more in depth, but something that what you're just saying, how does this sound? Emotional freedom is non-reactivity.
Yes. That's a perfect way to sum it up.
Yeah. How wonderful. Because we're still going to have our own experience, but how much is it our experience versus what we're giving away to others?
And that's the piece. And so now I'm in relationships with individuals where we have full self-responsibility. I'm very fortunate that two of my closest friends are psychotherapists like me, and we work together in our practice. And the one thing that we hear all the time is like the friendship between you ladies, the relationship between you three as human beings. And they think that we just walk on water. No, we have conflict and we trigger each other, but there's 100% self-responsibility. And there's enough respect and safety in our relationships that I can say, hey, when you said this to me, this is what I heard and this is how it made me feel. Well, and we're human beings, so we swear a lot and we're a lot of fun. So when I go, hey, yo, when you said that shit to me, this is how I heard it and this is how it made me feel, and I didn't like that. And one time she said to me, she goes, you're right. I was judging you. I'm really sorry. That had nothing to do with you. When you said this, this is what it reminded me of. And that's how I behaved. Please forgive me. And I go, yeah, no problem.
Yeah. But even if your friend didn't see that, in this example, there would still be the space to understand, like, I may not have done something wrong. However, the way it's interacting with your perception of it makes you feel bad. And so that's helpful for me as a people pleaser. That's helpful for me because, if I upset my partner, I feel like I did something wrong, and so it's just taking a little bit of the heat off, saying I did something inelegant and my partner is feeling a certain way. But I didn't do anything wrong. This is such a mental dance. I just found myself in like this maze.
Can I offer something?
Yeah.
Then maybe our next episode, if you're up for it, we demonstrate IFS with your people pleaser. because your people pleaser is the one that's up, that's trying to make it okay. Where when that happened with my friend and I said, hey, this is how this made me feel, she looked at me and she goes, and then another time and was like, oh, I'm sorry you heard it that way. That must have felt shitty. She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't try to make me feel better. It's not her job. I'm a grown ass woman. It was more the idea of like, oh, I'm so sorry that that hurt you, but she didn't do it.
And how did you feel at that point? Did you feel seen and fine?
Well, here's the trick. It's not her responsibility to make me feel seen and fine. It's her. Well, yes, she answered me.
Right.
And she answered me with like, oh, I'm so sorry you felt that way. But I felt that way. She didn't do it to me. Right. And this is the thing about personal freedom. Personal freedom is understanding that we're in relationships with people, but our well-being is not determined based on their energy. Personal freedom means that we love each other enough to manage our own energy and be respectful to each other. And oftentimes it comes down to grace, because my partner can get hit by things that I say because I'm a little rough. I think I'm hilarious and I'm sarcastic and I have a lot of freedom with my words and I'm not always gentle. That's just the way that I am. However, I'm aware that it can hurt my partner at times, but I don't always catch it. So when he says to me, babe, oh, I didn't love that. I'm just being me, but he didn't love that. So I can make the choice to be more loving and just not say it that way. But if I have a problem with being controlled, then we're off to the races. So how do we free ourselves from people pleasing, from fight, from flight, from needing to be right? And so let's maybe look at people pleasing next episode if you're up for it.
Yeah, that'll be an extra special.
Well, okay.
3-parter. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then, just one question then follow up. Would you say that fawning is, in the Venn diagram overlapping with people pleasing? Are they synonymous?
They're the same.
They're the same
thing. And I think people pleasing is probably the most toxic, I have to say.
Oof.
I'm grateful every day that I got a fight system. And I'm also grateful that the universe knew to make me tiny and occasionally charming so that I'm not in prison somewhere. But the fawning and the people pleasing, that one really breaks our heart because we give ourselves away.
All right. Well, thank you.
Good talk today, Nathan. I look forward to next week.
And that's the show. We'll be back next week with new insight and clarity in building a bridge of understanding between men and women in partnership, leading to the deeper connections we all seek. In the meantime, please subscribe to Understand Your Man wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you found any of this inspiring or helpful, please leave us 5 stars and a positive review. Remember, sharing your opinion as a listener is the best way for others to find us and, hopefully, begin to engage the tips and practical guidance offered here in their own lives in new and exciting ways. If you would like to send us a question or suggest a topic for discussion, feel free to reach out via email at understandyourmanpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.